I was indicted and realized that in so many ways I have been a slave to like, we've got to make the numbers work. Like, how does this work? This is like, right. And it's like trying to hold the universe in my hands, white knuckling.
Yeah.
And so,
it's the wrong energy.
Maybe instead of writing down everything you want in life, you write down every way you're going to give in life. The only currency the universe understands is intention and energy. What you put out always comes back. So if you want more love, success, connection, peace, and power, give more of the same thing you are calling in. Brandon Collingsworth. Oh.
Say that last line again.
So if you want more love, success, connection, peace, and power, give more of the same thing you are calling in.
Give more of the same thing you're calling in. That's powerful.
And indicted. I'm indicted. I received this right when I needed to. By the way, if you guys haven't followed Brandon Collingsworth, it's Branden. It's Collinsworth. Mm-hmm. Brandon Collinsworth on Instagram. Episode 4, Unchained. Or what's our podcast about? What is this even about?
Unchained. It's
Becoming unchained from what?
Becoming unchained from relational, emotional, and physical chains that keep us bound in life. I also like to add in spiritual and financial.
Yes.
Because those are huge. Those are the 5. Those are the 5 that chain us in life.
Here's why I like this and why I want to talk about it today. I realize that in so many areas of my life, I've given and done like a really cool job. And, we have this company, the Larkin Group, a real estate company. We feed 300 families at Thanksgiving, and we have a Larkin Group Cares, which is an actual 501c3 entity. And we donated to this. Oh my gosh, I forgot their name this week. It's right on Tabernacle Street. They take kids in that would be homeless. We put some money there, and our team went over there and did some cleanup and some fix up. And
you guys do a lot.
Yeah, that's
You're
all
part
cool.
Of Utah Tech,
right?
You do the Thanksgiving basket brigade. Like you
that's
do a lot,
all cool.
Yeah.
But what because we had this conversation, right? Is I don't know if in my business I've given in all the ways I can, and I found myself in this place recently wanting, not taking in an unethical way. Not taking in a cryptic, I'm going to like get mine, but saying, wow, why isn't X and Y and Z and happening in our business the way we want it to? Why aren't the deals coming and flowing through the way that they should? People tell us all the time that we're so great in all these ways. And she challenged me. You challenged me. You said, that's cool. I think you're doing some good things. You said, but what are you giving? How do you think we stay chained to this to-do list of, okay, I wrote out my vision for my life, Jen. I want to be this weight, and I want to have this kind of fitness, and I want to have $250,000 in the bank, and I want to have a relationship that meets all these standards, and I want a home in St. George, and I want one in Hawaii, and I want to go on 3 vacations a year. We're trained to do this list, right?
Yeah.
What? How does that get us off track?
So I want to bring up this thought that I had just a few days ago, because I'm a why person. Like, why does this matter? Why do I need to do this rule? Why do I need to follow this? Why do I need to get up and do this? Right? Like, why does waking up at 5 a.m. does it really matter? Right? So I like to explore the why. And I was thinking, why unchained? Why do we want to be unchained? And if you follow it all the way through, it's because, and our last episode, we talked about shame and vulnerability and empathy, right?
Yep.
Shame and empathy. Because becoming unchained, when we go through that process of becoming unchained, then we get to the place of joy and love and humility and empathy and forgiveness. It's all the positive spaces that we actually want to live in, right? Hope and that's a higher vibration. And there's so much, such a happier state of living than being chained and secret with shame and, and focused on the profit and, I need to build up this big business and I need to build up a reputation and I need to go on all these,
we need to have a brand,
vacations, right? Yeah. It's like we're focused on us instead of focused on,
I want to ask a question.
Giving. So
where's the fine line? So this for this conversation today, guys, where's the fine line between healthy desires, striving, achieving, becoming the best that we can be? And maybe I'm even leading the answer a little bit. Where's the fine line? Because I think people might go, well, wait, is it wrong to have desires? I want your opinion.
I know. That's a really good question. I want you to answer that too. No, it's not wrong to have desire. The interesting thing, just that quote, put more into it and you'll receive it right back. I have to, as you were saying that quote though, I have to say that, do you remember the Seinfeld episode where they talked about the girl in the bubble? And they're like, she just lives in a bubble. Anyway, it was like, it's really funny.
Was it Bubble Boy or Bubble Girl?
No.
A girl. It was not Bubble Boy.
It's a woman who's,
not the Bubble Boy
not
episode.
Bubble Boy, but
Thank
that's
you.
a funny one. That's a really good one.
Of course it is.
But no, they just talk about how she kind of lives in this bubble, this dream world, right? Like she gets everywhere she goes, people are opening the door like, oh, what would you like here? What would you like there? And I have to say that when you emit that in life, I mean, even in the Grand Canyon yesterday, I was so joyful, on the way over. But
in a previous episode, she talked about how she actually almost died in the Grand Canyon of heat exhaustion, but that's okay.
But I just found myself naturally speaking so kindly and positively to others, and everyone returned kindness. So you see people, right? We go to the grocery store and we actually put down our phone and we are not distracted and we look at the person helping us.
Hey, Stacy, thanks for
hey, how are you today? And yes, thank you for being here. And how is your day going, right? And it's amazing how when we pause and we look at people and we're present, there's so much joy in that. So anyhow, we receive what we give. And so is it wrong to have desires? No, because it's interesting. But when we have desire to serve others and help others and show up in the world to use our gifts, then our desires are just interesting. Like they're met. It's amazing.
I want to tell, I set up this episode with Brandon Collinsworth quote, right? Instead of having a list of everything we want to get in life, what if we had a list of everything we want to give? Well, It hit me at a time where I was having some real frustrations this week, right? Some business frustrations. And I thought about someone who's really special in my life. And when he hears this episode, he'll have been also indicted, but indicted in the opposite way. His name's Jesse Paul. He's my business partner. And one of the things that he has taught me, we've been working together for almost a decade, is he's the number one most productive person in the Larkin Group in our real estate organization. Number one most productive in transactions closed, all of it. And our newest agents watch him and they're like, how does he do it? And what does he say? It's actually not what he says at all. It's that Jesse's energetic frequency is singular. How can I serve others?
Yes.
Now it's interesting. It's within the frame of real estate because the fine line is like, oh, what are you just going to quit your job and go serve? No. See, he can serve others in the framework of our business.
So what does that look like
in
a day-to-day?
I'm going to give you such an awesome example.
Yeah.
So we had this coaching call with, so we're partnered with a company called Place. And literally after 18 years in the business, my brand that people know is the Larkin Group, and they're like, oh, we see your building. It's so cool. They're not,
which it is.
They don't totally, thank you. They're not totally aware that I actually partnered as a 50-50 partner with a company called Place. A guy named Ben Kinney, Chris Suarez, their organization. And the reason we did it is because I actually looked at my organization and my people in the future and said, I can give them way more with Place than I can on my own. But when we did it, we now are beholden to Big Brother. And so every month we have a P&L review. Most realtors don't even they're like, what's a P&L? So we go for our profit and loss statement. And I described it to Jen off camera. I said, I had a financial colonoscopy with my business partners this week. It was pretty vulnerable when they started looking at hey, why'd you spend this? Why? He asked me like 15 things. Why? By the way, none of them were kooky, illicit expenses, but like, do you need that? Do you need to spend that? Do you need the system? Do you need the web subscription? Right. And what came out of that is I said, Ben Kinney, my partner with Place, he said, I know you need to continue to recruit and lead and train and motivate your team, which has become most of my role. But he said, I want you to go back to selling 2 to 4 homes a month, working with 2 to 4 clients a month. And Jesse said, oh, perfect. Oh, here's what I want you to do. I have an appointment with a seller today. And if anyone is in real estate, you'll appreciate the depth of what this is. Realtors are very grabby. They can be very grabby. Sorry, but
I think most of us are, though.
But I'm going to call out my industry. Not all of us, but they can be like, oh, I got a listing and it's mine and it's my precious, right? He said, I have an appointment today at 3:30 p.m. I know you're going out of town. Why don't you I'll just go on the appointment and then I'll tell them that you're going to take over and I'll just give you the listing. And he's going to lose all the income on that deal. An entire sale at probably $450,000 in Ivans. And then today he said, hey, call our client Steve. Remember Steve from 700 East University Boulevard? I said, yeah. Steve's son needs to sell his house. Here's his number. You just call Steve. You take it.
That's incredible.
This is the guy who sells more real estate in our organization. He's in the top 20 of the agents in the county. He's truly in the top probably 2% of producers in the nation. Isn't this not ironic, right? That he gives, his only ambition is to give. His only ambition is to make someone's life better. And it just comes back to him.
Yeah.
Now, here's the fine line. So you think people can have desires?
Absolutely.
Can we have goals?
Yes.
Can I have financial goals?
Yes.
Okay. The question I have is where do we, and I'm going to look at our time today, where do we get off track? Because I don't want to encourage our listeners and myself to go, oh, that was a really cool quote. So I'll just start giving more and then therefore I'll get everything I want back.
Yeah.
How do we walk that line?
You have to surrender the outcome, right? And ultimately, we talked about this earlier today, that we focus so much. I see this also as I coach people, and as I've coached people in running and health coaching, but we are focused on the finish line. And then we check that box, right? And we don't realize that the finish line, it's not about the finish line, it's about the process. And if we don't understand the process, that it's the process that actually makes us better. It's not the medal at the end. And so I think if we're always focused on the end goal and we check that box, then what, right? So it's really like we're continually focused on the future and not appreciating the present moment and the experience of working towards something. It's not about the outcome. It's about the experience learning how to move that direction, right?
It's funny when I look at my business, and I've done this for 19 years. When I started out, I was a solo agent, and then I hired an assistant, and then I hired 2 assistants, and then I added on another salesperson, and it grew, and this brand grew, and then we sold, in our world, we look at units sold. It's kind of what people do. And agents are like, oh my gosh, how can I earn $100,000? And then they're like, could I build my own team? Well, from there, could we sell 100 homes? Could we sell 200 homes? We sold 100 homes. We sold 150. We sold 194. We sold 236. We bought this building. We transformed the building. People in the town were raving about it. You want to know the funny thing about it? At none of those moments, beyond the excitement of the moment when I benchmarked it, outside of that, and outside of the income that does come with being successful, my life was actually never any better.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ever. It never got like, and by the way, I've had lean times and I've had times of plenty. I've had both. This is like very much the 7 years of plenty and right, and famine in the Bible. But I promise you, Jen, actually, I wasn't any happier. I haven't been any happier with all these things.
Well, as you say it, it makes me realize that we're always then having to chase the next thing because we're not appreciating the moment, right? Again,
and we're missing the journey.
Yeah.
So
there's something I want to say.
Yeah, go.
That keeps pressing on my mind. There's a book. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but anyway, it was written by a man named Russell Osguthorpe, great man, and it's on attachment styles and relationships. But in it, he was on a podcast talking about his book, and he talked about how when he was a dean of one of the schools, I think at BYU. Anyway, but he talked about when he became that, he was getting annoyed by people coming to his office because he's like, oh, I could get so much done if people didn't come into my office.
The got-a-minute meetings got out of control.
Yeah, the first year, he just thought, I can't get anything done because people keep interrupting me. And then one day he finally realized, my work are the people. The people are my work. My work that I'm focused on, like I've got to, produce, I've got to publish this,
my gosh, I'm
article
resonating
and
with
in
this.
this
I'm
journal.
resonating with this story right now.
Yeah.
In my building, in my
and
space.
yeah, and the reality is that when we realize that people are our work, then we get what we want and what we need.
I love that. This was a real shift for me, and I'll wrap up with a little because I'm kind of talking business.
Yeah.
I want to reread this quote, and this is Brandon Collinsworth, and it's BRANDEN on Instagram. It's what it became. I saw him speak about 6 weeks ago. Maybe instead of writing down everything you want in life, you write down every way you're going to give in life. The only currency the universe understands is intention and energy. What you put out always comes back. So if you want more love, success, connection, peace, and power, give more of the same thing you were calling in. We lost a client, a big client, about 3 weeks ago that we'd worked with for 5 years. And this is a pretty significant, in a year's time, income hit after 5 years working with this client. And I received a phone call from the agent that was taking the business over. Actually, what they did is they went from having us represent them outside the Larkin Group to having, they hired an agent to work inside their company to sell all their stuff, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, she called me and needed to get some information, which I actually still owe her some more information tonight. Do not forget. I need to remember. And it was to move some things around and Facebook access for this home builder. And at first I was kind of annoyed when I got the call and I missed it and I got a voicemail. I was like, this isn't my problem. This is your problem. You took the business over. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
It's natural.
And I read that quote and I got her on the phone today and she said, wow, you're really gracious. I was pretty afraid to call you. And I said, I understand. And then I read the quote to her and she said, will you send it to me? This is a competitor.
I love this.
Who took our business.
Yeah.
She didn't take it. They just went another direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, blank, we did really well for 5 years. And maybe it's time for somebody else. And while that might sound really awesome, you've listened to me fret about some business losses. Here's the wild part. We hung up. I felt so unchained.
Wow.
So liberated.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and this human was lifted, right?
Yeah.
I'd gone from what can I get? I'd gone from, is this my problem? It's not my problem. It's your problem. And so what I realized is this is a practice. I'm not going to be like, oh, cool, I read the quote, so I just give now.
Yeah.
And we can't quit our jobs and just like become philanthropists, most of us, right? But I was indicted and realized that in so many ways I have been a slave to like, we've got to make the numbers work. Like, how does this work? This is right. And it's like trying to hold the universe in my hands, white knuckling.
Yeah.
And so
it's the wrong energy.
It's the wrong energy.
Focus.
Your shirt says what? I love it.
I am
positive
energy.
What a great affirmation to wear around.
I love it.
Let's wrap it up. Put a bow on it, Jen.
I was just going to say, rather than focusing on, I need this, I deserve this, I'm not getting this. What if we turn it around and say, hey, I'm just going to, because honestly, it's not about quitting jobs. It's about showing up into the workplace and seeing the people that we work with and seeing them as people and asking, how are you today? How are you feeling about your job, right? How are you feeling about this? I've really enjoyed doing more of that in my workplace, even though I wasn't in a space of full growth for me. Mm-hmm. I loved showing up and being able to just see my colleagues, right? And see the good people that they are. And any place we go, the grocery store, the Grand Canyon, the park.
You name it.
Like
You
wherever
name
we
it.
are, it's amazing to actually just show up and be a kind person, and it's returned.
I want to give our listeners a suggested, I really like to wrap all these episodes. We started this the first one, and I've tried to do this every time. An invitation to do a little kind of homework, right? And what I would invite people to do, and because I'm working on it myself, is ask yourself, this is a great journal prompt, okay? In what ways am I taking from the world? And in what ways am I giving to the world? And vice versa.
And how
in
do
what
I
ways,
want to give?
Yes. And how could I stop?
How do I want to show up?
Yeah. How could I stop taking and how could I start giving? And it starts energetically. And the interesting thing is you instantaneously feel better in that shift, that
amazing.
Moment, that shift. How do people find you on the internet?
Dandelion Runner on Instagram.
At Dandelion Runner. You can get me at Jeremy Leon Larkin or our business at Larkin Group. Pick us up on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Please share this with your friends. And we encourage folks to reach out to us and suggest topics or ask us questions about where you feel chained and want to become unchained.
And share your stories with us because we're excited to have guests on the show with us.
Yep.
Talking about their experiences becoming unchained.
Over and